All right, what's up, Dragon Brood? It's that time of year again. We're about to drop another set with Tarkir Dragonstorm, and we're going to talk about 10 cards that you should feel pretty safe crafting because these have been overperforming. And we get this by looking at different decks that we've played. We look at different stuff that other creators played. We talk to different people in the industry, and we talk to different players as well. So a little bit of a spread to kind of get you to a list that you should feel pretty safe with. But let's hop into it and see what we're talking about today. Oh yeah, two quick pieces of business. First off, if you want to buy any of these, don't forget to check out Tales of Adventure. You can use my code DRAGON, DRAGN. It'll save you 5%, which is good because right now this set's super hot. Be a great way to save some money. The other thing is that we will have an accompanying video of things you should not craft that have been underperforming, so you should check that out after watching this one. Right, our first card is Stadium Headliner. This should come as no surprise. It just fits way too many decks. Pretty much everything we tried it in the early access event did well. Other creators all did well with it. It fits a variety, like we're saying, like whether it's goblins or you're just doing some type of low to the ground aggro-y thing. Maybe you're doing something with tokens. It comes with built-in removal. Like, it's checking a lot of boxes and it's super good. So yeah, this one's one I don't think anyone should be surprised about. Would I expect it to go up in value? Like, I don't know. It depends on the direction of the format. But at least here early on, this should work how you expect it to in the decks you're trying to put it in. All right, next up is Corey Steel Cutter. If you don't know what this is, it's a colorless and a red. It's an equipment, and the creature gets +1/+1, has trample, has haste, and with flurry, whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you make a 1/1 white monk creature token with prowess. You can attach this to that creature, and it equips for 2. That works whether this is on a creature or not, by the way. I think some people interpret it as this had to be equipped to get the ability. That flurry ability is always active. It's an ability of the artifact. That said, we saw a couple of times we ran into this. It was pretty good. Watched some other people play with it. It did pretty much what you expect. I think what we're going to be trying to find out, though, is does this fit into flurry decks where you're trying to play your second spell? Does it fit into maybe, is it spells decks? Like, is it trying to be part of a Just Guide thing? Or does mono red just play it with a few extra spells because you're getting free bodies and you get to attack with the new thing with the +1 and haste? I feel like it can fit quite a few different builds, which might be one of the reasons we're seeing so much of it. And it's a way to get extra creatures to the battlefield without having to overcommit. So lots of positives going on with this card. It's very subtle, but very good. Something I think we kind of overlooked a little bit in the preseason, if we're being honest. But if you do like playing those type of fast, low to the ground, multi-spell decks, this is actually going to do what you expect it to do. Magmatic Hellkite. Yeah, just do it, y'all. There's, I mean, a 4 mana, 4/5 flying, and it counts as a dragon for so many cards in the set. Obviously, when it enters the battlefield, it gets destroyed non-basic. Awesome. And it locks that land down for a turn. And kind of everything we predicted you'd be able to do with this in our preview stuff, you know, actually was exactly what it did. I mean, it just is annoying enough, especially if you're on the play. You kind of set your opponent back an additional turn, and you get a 4/5 body, not even just a 4/4. And if you get them in multiples, sometimes your opponents just don't have enough basics. A lot of decks right now are running just one of each basic, so sometimes you can keep them off of a color in the right situations. So just something to think about here with this one. But yeah, if you've been debating it, go for it. And I will say, we saw this in a lot of different decks. We saw it in various teamer builds. We saw it in stuff that's just dragon based. I think there was some like, I guess we'd say gruel builds, kind of mid-rangey things that were playing it. So yeah, lots of opportunity here. I wouldn't even be surprised if you see some Jun stuff pop up that are just kind of toolboxy or mid-rangey Jun, with this being one of the key pieces. But yeah, lots of reasons to play this card for sure. Okay, Rot Curse Rakshasa. Like, this is one I don't think you need to go nuts on this one, but if your deck build makes sense to play it, it is a good card to play. And now there are some things we can do right now in standard that kind of give this a little bit of extra value, because we have a lot of stuff that mills things and puts it into your graveyard. So you can take advantage of the renew ability, which basically puts your opponent's creatures on ice to either not be able to attack, or they just end up attacking and dying, right? Great. But even then, there's things where you can copy this and get to attack with it. It also counts as a demon for so many other cards. Like, there's a lot going on with this that has a lot of value. And it is a 5/5 body. So even though it only gets to attack once and then dies because it has decayed, don't forget that it also has trample for 2 mana, which is huge. So lots of stuff going on with this. I don't be surprised if you see this pop up and a bunch of random lists here and there. I will say though, if you are playing something like a Golgari mid-rangey type deck, this isn't the type of card you want for 2 mana. It doesn't quite fit the bill for what you're doing. And in those cases, I almost feel like you'd be better off playing something like one of the dragons, which I don't know if that's on our, I think it is on our list actually, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah, good card, really good all around, and that renewability really is impressive. If nothing else, just to make it to where your opponents can't block, and then you can just push through an attack. Right, next up is Windcrag Siege, or you might want to call it Windcracked Siege, the way it played out, but colorless or generic, whatever, red-white for an enchantment. On Mardu sides, you get to, if an attacking creature would have a triggered ability, then you go ahead and trigger it an additional time. Actually triggers a permanent you control, to be specific. And if you choose the Jeskai half, during your upkeep, you get a 1/1 red goblin creature token with lifelink and haste. I will say this, we played it in a couple of decks, and it did everything we wanted it to do. Like, it actually adds a whole other level of, I don't know, I guess threat, concern, or whatever to those little tokens decks, right? Because you're talking about you can get multiple triggers out of Arabella, you can get multiple triggers out of all your stuff that's making the extra soldiers. You know, like I think we had the Dollmaker shop was able to make an additional token when we attacked. Like we played Anampakal, that was able to trigger multiple times, right? There's a bunch of things that happen at the start of the combat when you attack, you know, stuff like that, that this just gives you so much extra value, and you can build those decks a bunch of different ways. But also, the other side was relevant. We literally won a game just because it was just making a token every turn. And when we had stuff that had ETB triggers, so you're dealing damage when the token comes in, and it's gaining you a little bit of life, so if you have anything to pump it up or whatever, it was just another constant threat to have, which was nice, especially if you think your opponent's about to set up to wipe the board. Then you say, okay, I still want to play this down. Maybe I don't get all the attack trigger options, but at least I'm getting a creature every turn after they sweep the board, so I can just keep the aggression up or try to go wide still. So yeah, surprising card. Still kind of undervalued probably, but we'll see where it ends up. But if you're playing any of the Mardu stuff or Borrow stuff that has a bunch of attack triggers, this card could be for you. Voice of Victory. This card got so much hype when it got previewed, but you have 1 and a white for a 1/3 human bard, mobilized 2, which means when you attack, you make those soldiers and they die at the end of turn. Your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Like, this turned out to be exactly what we expected, and enough that it showed up in a lot of decks here early. Even a lot of deck lists people are working on that I've seen also have this card in there if they're playing any type of white creature stuff. I mean, the advantage you get from it, if it does just slow your opponent down to where they can't play anything on your turn, they have to commit to their side, it effectively turns off counter spells, which is a big deal. Like, there's just so many things this is doing to allow you to function, especially if you're trying to like set up a card, get your attack in, you want to get some triggers before they're able to destroy it. You know, you could do all of that and your opponent can't do anything. And matter of fact, it's almost so awkward, like sometimes you forget having the card that your opponent can't do things. So, you know, you get to run wild. Now, obviously, you still don't want to overcommit to the board because they can do stuff in their turn, but it is a super good card, really. And the Mobilize 2, along with a bunch of other things that pump creatures, have ETB triggers, whatever, like this is actually just what it's cracked up to be. And for 2 mana, hard to turn this down. All right, on this one, I do want to give a caveat with it of this is probably obviously, but I'm going to say it, going to go into more control style decks that are able to justify the Jeskai colors. This isn't one that's on the list of just like, it's so good, you should craft it and find a way to play it. This goes into a very particular type of deck. However, the couple of times we saw it, it was spectacular. Everything we thought it was going to be. There's a lot of ways to reduce the cost of this, depending on how you want to build your deck, or artifact, mana ramp. This went into just straight up control stuff. There's been some combo-y things where you could play it out of the graveyard and use it again, which is pretty devastating. Like, there's some crazy stuff that this card allows. And remember, for those of you who don't know what it is, right, it's a 4 red, white, blue, so it's 7 mana, so it's kind of pricey, but again, reasonable. We can find ways to do it. It's an instant. Return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand, and it deals 4 damage to the target player, and you get 2 1/1 white monk creature tokens with prowess. You draw 2 cards, you gain 4 life. It literally is doing a ton of everything. And the craziest thing is the first one goes off and pretty much stabilizes the board, right? You bounce a thing, probably kill a thing, you gain some life, you get some blockers, you get more cards. If the second one goes off for some reason within the next 2 turns, it's pretty hard to overcome that. Like, that's how strong this card is. Like, you're just getting so much value out of one spell. And if you're behind, it's almost an immediate catch up mechanic. But if you're ahead, it just buries your opponent under so much value. So, yeah, hard to turn this one down. But if you are a control player and you like even just blue white or blue red and you can splash to have this be your only off color card or whatever, even that might still be worth it. All right, Scavenger Regent. This is another one that I think everybody was curious on how good it was going to be, partly because we weren't familiar with omens, but also because, like, well, we're all excited about it. Is it really that good? Turns out Scavenger Regent is. For 4 mana, you get a 4/4 flying dragon with ward, where they have to discard a card if they want to target it. But really, it's about the omen, the exude toxin. It's X black black, and you give target, or actually each non-dragon creature, -X/-X. So you get a built-in board sweeper with also a sizable body. And we saw a lot of times where you just play the Regent for what it is. Your opponent's got to find a way to deal with it. And sometimes they have to just leave a card in hand if they're even going to attempt to kill it, right? So that alone helps. And if they're empty-handed, you're often going to have at least one turn with it, because they can't just target it and kill it because they'd have to discard something. So yeah, card's very good. And, even if you have a couple of small non-dragon things, you don't even mind losing them if it sets up the rest of the game for you to just start playing all your big creatures. I think the question will be, does this fit better in a mono black or Rakdos dragons, or just is it a Golgari piece? I think that's the thing we're all trying to figure out. But I feel like no matter what, if you do want to play with this, you're probably safe to craft it. Even if the deck you're putting it in mostly wants the Exude Toxin, just as your sweeper of choice, and then you get the other side, which is the Regent, later on in the game. All right, you're in a Song Unending. It's 8 mana, so 5 blue, green, red for a 10/10 Spirit Dragon, flying, protection from white and black, and when it enters, deal X damage divided any way you choose among creatures and planeswalker equal to a number of lands you control. That's a lot for this, but you get a lot for that 8 mana. You got a 10/10, and most importantly, white and black is kind of all the spot removal people are playing these days. I mean, there's a few others, but generally, those are the big ones, so that protects you against a bunch of things. But honestly, if you're just ramping this out in a variety of ways, you're almost always going to be, if you're not wiping the board, you're at least getting rid of their 2 or 3 biggest things. And then they don't really have a way to deal with this. Like, a lot of times, it was just 2 swings from your Rennie, ended the game. And in the decks we had it in, I thought we were going to struggle to cast it, but I think only once did we draw it and have any issues with it. And watching other people play with it, it was still very castable. We even had it hit the board once or twice against us. So yeah, the card is actually usable. It's going to be one we're going to have to keep eyes out for on the battlefield. But yeah, again, I don't think you just throw this in because you're playing a teamer deck, but if you're playing a version that either reduces cost significantly or playing a bunch of ramp, whether that's artifacts or finding lands and putting them into play or whatever, then I think you go ahead and play this because it could be worth it. And let's be real, it's probably going to be a good reanimation target for a lot of decks, right? It's a 10/10 that's hard to deal with because you can't really target it with the stuff people are going to want to. And when it enters the battlefield, because it doesn't say when it's cast, you still get to deal some number, probably at least 5, worth of damage to your opponent's stuff, on top of actually just having the 10/10. So yeah, just a good card all around, and I expect we're going to be seeing this for a long time. Elspeth Stormslayer, 5 mana, 5 loyalty, doubles your tokens that you make, +1 to make a soldier, which means you get 2. You can -3 to destroy a creature with power, or actually mana value 3 or greater. And for 0, you just put a +1/+1 on your stuff and they get flying until the end of the next turn. This card has so many lines of text. All of them are good. And yes, this card is the real deal. Like, pretty much every time we saw it, I think we maybe beat it once. It was really good, honestly. I saw a lot of other creators also doing well with this card. Even talk and hype right now is people are finding ways to get it into different lists. And I don't see the price on this coming down. Like, this is going to be one of those cards, and I think I said this in another video, when you compare it to something like Doubling Season or whatever, where Doubling Season has had, I don't know, 8 reprints, I think, not counting all the individual versions in each of those sets and, promo versions, and it still stays at a high value. Crater Hoof is going to be one of those cards. It's probably, even being reprinted in the set, still going to be like $20 or whatever. I think you're going to see the same thing with Elspeth, but it's going to be very sought after and desirable because there's not as many reprints as those other 2 cards have. So this is definitely one to pick up. If you are playing an arena, feel free to craft it. You're going to find a lot to do with this card in a lot of different decks. Also note, it doesn't just copy double your token creatures, it doubles tokens, period, which is what's going to find its way into a lot of different decks. All right, so now I guess it's up to y'all. Let me know any cards that y'all think should be safe that you've seen a lot of that maybe didn't make the list. But also what you think about the list. And don't forget, if you want to buy anything, go check out Tales of Adventure and use my code DRAGON to save yourself 5%. That's DRAGN, by the way. But yeah, otherwise, don't forget to check out the other video so you know what not to craft as well. That's all of you for now. We'll see you next time.